I always avoided drawing backs. Like, I would see how crazy and complicated it could be, so I just decided to avoid it entirely. But after I took some time to try to simplify the muscles in a way that's easier to understand, I got to a point where I could draw characters' backs without having a degree in human anatomy. So in this video, I'm gonna break down my understanding of backs, how I simplify it and understand the structure and the anatomy in a way that's as easy as possible to digest. So before we get into actually drawing backs, we need to understand the underlying simple structure. So you can see here, I'm drawing all of the important underlying elements of the skeletal structure that'll basically influence all of the muscles that we're gonna be trying to draw. To be able to understand how to lay the muscles on the body, we need to understand the rib cage, the shoulder girdle, the spine, and the pelvis, and how they all interconnect and the ways that they can move. With my contour lines, I'm trying to get across the forms and the mass of these skeletal structures. You don't really need to fully remember the exact forms of all of these bones, but it's just useful to understand it in the back of your mind so that you understand what bones are laying underneath the muscles that you're trying to draw. So the rib cage is kind of like this egg-shaped type of thing, with the shoulder girdle wrapping around the rib cage, the clavicle attaching on front, and then the shoulder blades attaching behind, with the pelvis being at the bottom and the spine obviously connecting all of them. Later on, we'll go way more in depth about why these structural elements are so important. So now that we understand the placement of the underlying structure, I'm going to start to draw over those structures with the main muscle groups of the back. First of all being the lats, which are kind of like wings of the back. They connect along your spine and attach to your upper arm, kind of in your armpit. Then the delts, which attach to the outside of the upper arm, and the shoulder girdle. We've got the lats, which are that big hulking mass muscle on your upper back. They also kind of go onto your neck, so if someone has big traps, their neck might be larger as well. And then we've got the spinal erectors, which are just the muscles that basically run up and down your spine. Lastly, we've got this shoulder blade chunk, which is made up of a bunch of small muscles that I won't really go in depth about here. But this chunk of muscles is used to stabilize the shoulder and is also attached to the shoulder girdle, kind of in between the lats and the delts. So now you kind of understand the structures and main forms, muscle groups of the back, but it can still be kind of hard to envision. So let's see how this actually applies to real life muscles. So now let's get into some draw over examples of men and women with different body types. Firstly, we've got the lats. Remember, they run from under the armpit to a large portion of the middle back. And something I want you guys to notice is how wildly different that area can look based on level of muscular development, right? For the people who are a little bit more skinny, that curvature is still there, but the muscle isn't really bulging like it is on the bodybuilders. And that's why I called them the wings of the back, because when they're super developed, they kind of look like wings. Then let's get into the delts. And you can see here why a lot of people refer to them as kind of caps, because that's kind of what it looks like. It looks like they cap the shoulders. So the deltoids all come down to this point in the middle of the upper arm, but where they attach to is all around that shoulder girdle. And so the main one we're focusing on is that rear delt, the one that attaches to the upper part of the shoulder blade. And in the really developed muscular people, you can see that capped example really taking shape. Then we have the traps, which is kind of like this diamond-shaped muscle. And actually, there's two different muscles, one on each side of the spine. They attach to exactly where the delts attach to as well, which is why the delts kind of wrap around the traps. So the muscles start around the neck and run down all the way to the middle part of the spine. And then those fibers run all the way to the shoulder girdle, exactly where the delts attach to as well. This is the reason why we get that capped look from the delts, because they kind of wrap around the traps. And again, notice the forms massively change as we look at different people with different levels of muscularity. Then we get into the spinal erectors, which is another great example of it varying wildly based on level of muscularity. Some people, you won't even really notice the spinal erectors. They'll just have a line down their back that implies that's where the muscles are, right? However, in some people, those spinal erectors will start to kind of push out and create this huge mass. Something that's kind of important to note is that the lats do overlap the spinal erectors. Same with the traps. So when drawing the back, you don't really need to worry too much about describing their form, because for the most part, the traps and the lats overlap those muscles. And then lastly, we get into that shoulder blade chunk, which is just a section of muscles that are used for stabilizing the shoulder. The reason why our back has a lot of these weird muscles is because we're primates, and so we have a lot of weird functionality with our shoulders, having to be able to swing and all that. And so as people get more muscular, those shoulder muscles will start to develop like crazy. So now let's take a look at some real life examples with a little bit of nuance based on the positioning. Knowing how the muscles look in different positions will help us get a better understanding on the muscles as a whole. So in these examples, I want to highlight the lats and how they not only are on the back, but they actually wrap around the rib cage. So in the example on the left, his arm is kind of reaching down and forward, and so that lat is really catching light and you're really able to see how much it's wrapping around the ribcage. In this image, I wanted to point out how viewable the lats actually can be from the front. When the lats are really developed, poses like this allow you to really see the winging effect. Moving on to some examples for the traps, I wanted to show what the traps look like when they're super extended and super flexed. I want you to notice how in the example on the left, even though he's super jacked, his muscle is kind of flat, the silhouette of his traps. And then as he moves his shoulders up, those traps really flex and start to become way more bulbous. And in this example, I wanted to show how the traps are viewable from different angles as well. So from the side and from the front, you can really see them peeking over the clavicle. Here I want to point out how the rear delts look in action. In the example on the left, you can see him doing a rear delt fly, so his rear delt is really activated. And on the right, he's doing some sort of bodybuilder pose, which is allowing that rear delt to really pop. And even for some people who aren't really insanely jacked, you can still see the silhouette and form change from the rear delt. Now I want to show off the spinal erectors. This guy's actually doing a deadlift, which really activates the back and the spinal erectors. So here you can really see the curvature. There's almost 2 columns going down his back. And these are extreme examples of that, where the columns almost start to look inhuman. Now these are just to show what the muscles look like when they're insanely developed, but for most people, your spinal erectors are going to look something like this. They basically just create a line down your back with much smaller columns. And most of the time, since the lats and the traps lay on top of the spinal erectors, most of the form indication that you're going to be doing for your characters isn't really going to be on the spinal erectors, it's going to be on the traps and the lats. Now let's take a look at some real life structural examples where the people have a little bit less muscle and fat. In these examples, you can really see the spine and the shoulder girdle poking through the skin. Again, remember, because there's not really developed muscles on their backs and they have a low body fat percentage, those bones are really peeking through easily. And here's another great example. I want you to note how on the left, her one shoulder blade is causing a really big form change, but because of the lighting and position of her other shoulder blade, it's hard to discern exactly where it is. However, on the example on the right, you can really make out the edge of that shoulder blade. I find that reference to be super interesting. Now let's get into some examples of art so that we can see how other artists actually translate this to drawings. With all of these examples, I want you to note not only the positioning of the muscles and the forms, but specifically, how do these artists actually get across the forms? What information are they giving us and what are they leaving out? Obviously, we know exactly where all of these muscles are now, but we're not going to draw all of these contour lines every single time we draw the back. Also, I want to note some of the structural elements so you can see the silhouette of his rib cage kind of poking through on the left, and his shoulder blade is really causing a form change. I love this example because of how subtle the hatching is for the muscles and the very simple shading, but it reads so well and it looks super cool. He's pretty jacked, so you're not going to really see much structural elements, but because of the position of his arms, his shoulder blades are pushing out a little bit. I love these drawings, and they're a great example of back anatomy on a character that's fit, but not insanely jacked. So note the silhouette on the lats, the delts, and how there's not really that much form change because of those specific muscles. A lot of the form change in silhouette is actually coming from structural elements. Note her flat shoulders, her shoulder blades kind of being like the only line on her back, and her rib cage. Moving on, this is like a quintessential example that I can use just to show off what the muscles might look like in their most stylized and developed form. Just really note how bulbous the muscles become. You can see this not only from my contour lines, but from the hatching that this artist actually did. As a side note, studying Street Fighter art is a great way to start understanding anatomy, because there's a bunch of different body types and all the artists are so insanely good. For this last example, I want to point out how there's form indication for certain muscles like the lats, the delts, and actually even the shoulder blade chunk. But I think they made the intentional choice to not make the traps insanely big because that can be a little bit more masculine and it probably just didn't fit with her character. And even on a character like this that's pretty muscular, you still might end up seeing some structural elements based on their body type. So let's get into some examples of my own drawings where I'm basically just going to draw the back from different angles and positions. That way you can see how I simplify all the main muscle groups and draw them at different levels of muscularity and things like that. So that first drawing, he's pretty muscular and he's in kind of a neutral pose where he's leaning back a little bit with his arm raised. And so because of that, that lat is kind of winging out and creating that curved silhouette. Because of the angle we're at, we're also seeing a little bit of a form change because of his shoulder blades. In that second drawing, he's kind of hunched a little bit and his traps are pretty developed, so there's a line going straight from his neck to his shoulder. And you can see a line there as well for the lats kind of coming down from underneath the armpit to the base of his back. He also has a pretty big stylized deltoid. This third drawing is an example of a dude hunched over where you can see his traps and his spine from the front, as well as his delts capping around that shoulder girdle. For this drawing right here, he's a little bit skinnier, so you can see his ribs a little bit more peeking out, but you can still see form indicators for the shoulder blades peeking through, as well as that diamond shape for the traps, and a little bit of lines going down his back for the spine. As he raises his arm as well, his lat is going to stretch a little bit more, so it's going to be less bunched, kind of more of a straight line. For this drawing right here, it's kind of a top-down view of a skinnier guy where his muscles aren't super developed, so kind of like really the only lines that I'm drawing on his back are going to be the lines for his shoulder blade and for his spine. Also note how his shoulders are a little bit more sharp and don't have that 3D delt effect, and that's because the main silhouette of his shoulder isn't really coming from his delt muscle, it's coming from the underlying skeletal structure of his shoulder girdle. For this drawing right here, this is a pose I've never really drawn before. It's a weird pose of him really bent over, so I'm trying to get across what the back looks like when it's really bent. So all of those muscles aren't going to be bunched up, they're going to be as stretched as they possibly could be, which means a lot of the underlying skeletal structure is actually going to peek through. The spine, maybe the rib cage, and the shoulder blades. And this pose is kind of the opposite of the last one we talked about, because he's not hunched over but stretched back. So a lot of the back muscles, the traps, the delts, the shoulder blade chunk, all of these muscles will be flexed, except for the lats. They might have tension, but they're gonna be stretched out because his arms are kind of overhead, right? He's swinging. So here, if we take a look at the final drawings with a draw over to show the underlying structure, we can see the ways in which the ribs, the pelvis, the spine, and the shoulder girdle can move and kind of interact with each other, right? Something else I really want to point out is the shoulder blades. Look at how much they actually move around based on the shoulder position. The shoulder blades are a key component, a key bone in allowing free movement of the shoulder girdle, right? The shoulder joint. So the position of that shoulder is going to wildly change the position of the shoulder blades. One of the most confusing elements of drawing the back is going to be the shoulder blade, simply because of how dynamic it is and its unique shape. There isn't really another bone in the human body you can relate it to. I apologize for the quality, but in this image you can see all the ways in which the shoulder blade can actually move. Now when you study drawing backs, you'll be able to think about the shoulder blade, the position it's probably in based on the position of the arm and the shoulder, and how that translates to how the forms of the back change. Let's do another draw over so that we can see exactly where the different muscle groups are and why I put certain marks down. Something I want to note is the difference in body type between all these characters. Some of them are a little bit skinnier, some with a little bit more muscle. But note the difference in forms between them. So for the more muscular characters, their muscles are more balloon-like, they have more mass to them. But for the skinnier characters, the forms of their body are more flat or structural, more influenced by the underlying structure. And this makes intuitive sense, right? If a person is more skinny, their skeletal structure is going to show through more. That's where we can think about and reference the simple underlying structure. For the skinnier characters, the muscles are still there, and I'm going to still draw exactly where they would be, but the forms, the actual masses on their body, aren't really that influenced by those muscles. Something that's super useful for me is understanding how the traps connect to the base of that shoulder girdle, right in the middle of that deltoid cap. And this is why I like to think about the deltoid kind of wrapping around those traps. Also, anytime the shoulder is in kind of a non-neutral pose, the shoulder blade will move, which means that the shoulder blade might actually push out of the skin, creating a form change. And again, this will be more apparent in the skinnier characters, because if there's not a lot of muscle and not a lot of fat, that means there's not much between the skin and the underlying skeletal structure. And this also, of course, applies to the ribs, the spine, and the pelvis. This is why in the characters that are kind of hunched or bent over, I'm showing the spine peeking through. And not only that, but based on certain positions, the ribs will also peek out right in front of the lats underneath the armpit. And again, as we get into the spinal erectors, I'm drawing where they are, but as I'm drawing, I'm not really thinking about indicating form changes based on them, because that's what this whole video is about, understanding how to indicate form based on the simple muscle groups. And the spinal erectors in most characters aren't really going to be that developed. Unless you're drawing Baki characters, it's something that you don't really need to think about. And the same goes for the shoulder blade chunk. This little bundle of muscles are mainly there for shoulder stabilization. They're not really a main muscle group, they're just a bunch of small muscles. So again, for most people, they're not going to be insanely developed. I'm drawing the position of where it would be on all of these characters, but for most of these drawings, I didn't really indicate a form change for this specific muscle group. By the way, if you like the way I simplify and get across ideas for drawing and character design, I actually have a tutorial where I go in depth and simplify the way that I think about designing characters. You can scan the QR code if you're interested. Okay, so hopefully you guys got a lot out of this video, but I've watched a lot of videos in the past, and I know you can get a sense of accomplishment by watching a video and feeling like you learned, but you didn't learn as much as you could have if you actually put it into practice. So I want you guys to go and do your own drawings now. Try to keep in mind the things that I talked about, the underlying structure, the main muscle groups and how you can simplify that, and different levels of muscularity and things like that. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.